So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today. I'm so excited about this session. Those of you who don't have the privilege of knowing Vicky Cantrell, I hope you get to meet her. She is the most wonderful person, a retail tech oracle, and who has, been a huge support to me and to Rating and guiding us on this journey. And Vicky's background couldn't be more perfect for this session, having been on both sides of the fence as a CIO, COO to brands like Tory Burch, Armani, Gucci, then working for leading tech vendors, NRF, Retail AI Council, and being founder and CEO of Vendors in Partnerships with Retail. So absolutely thrilled to have you join us, Vicky. Thank you so much.
Thrilled to be here, Georgina. Thanks so much for asking me.
And then we also have our own data wizard, Gareth Johns, who says next week will be his 30th year in advising retailers on how to understand. And so, and we are so lucky to have Gareth. He was managing director at dunnhumby before he joined True Rating, and he brings consumer data to life like no one else. So we are here to discuss is the result of 100,000 consumers, which we polled from February to May of this year. So for those of you who aren't familiar with True Rating, the way we work is we just answer one single question, or ask one single question on the payment terminal as consumers check out. So the questions rotate. It just takes a second to answer. But what that means is we can obviously get, vast data samples, huge representative data. And we asked about retail tech investments, really trying to understand if what retailers are spending their money on is actually being noticed by consumers. So Gartner predicts that $273 billion will be spent on retail technology by 2027, which is a phenomenal investment. So what do consumers notice? Is it making consumer experience better? I'm very excited to discuss the results. So Gareth, handing the mic to you.
Thank you. So I think as we were designing the questions that we were going to ask consumers, one interesting point about technology investment is, if you make those investments wisely and you make them in the right things and they all work really well, then actually it's almost seamless. And in a lot of cases, customers probably don't even notice that you've made the investment. But we really try to focus in on what are the things that customers actually care about, and do those things get better or worse or stay the same as companies are making more and more investments in technology and as technology is moving on. And these are some of the key takeaways that we saw. So this first one is really talking about payment, because that's obviously something that consumers really noticed. It's right in their face when they come to the end point. And I think, as you can see here from the wide differences by where customers are shopping, that it's not that customers have a particular preference for checkout, of self-checkout or cashier checkout at every single point. I think the thing that we learned was that actually it very much depends on where they are and what they're doing rather than who they are. And that was the real difference in technology. But also that they really like the fact that there's a choice. So I think whenever we look at a consumer kind of point of view, and when we see technology investments being made, if that technology investment forces the customer down a particular route, that's generally where it doesn't seem to work. But where it gives the customer a choice of options and makes the experience better, that's really where it lands well. And I think we've got another webinar coming up in the future that will go into more detail on self-checkout. So then the second point that we looked at was, there's all this investment being made in how do you make sure you've got the right products in the right stores at the right time. And this was less of a kind of a polling question, but just a general question that we see asked in lots and lots of our retailers and have been asked for many years. And if we look all the way back to sort of summer of 2022, and now we're almost coming up to the summer of 2024, and we ask about the percentage of customers that couldn't find everything they wanted when they made that shopping trip, you can see there that it's pretty static. For all the investment in the last couple of years in technology, there's still 13 or 14% of customers that finish a shopping trip not being able to find everything they wanted. Now, that could be for a whole host of reasons that we'll probably come on to talk about in terms of, sourcing and stock availability and ranging and navigation around the store. But I think from a consumer point of view, you'd point to the fact that the challenges that they were having in 2022, they're still having those same challenges in 2024. And then the third thing we looked at was really, I guess, trying to be very specific to the thing that a customer would know about technology. The use of whether it's the kiosks or the smart trolleys or the apps on their phone, the things that they might look at as being a sort of an in-your-face technology being in store as they're making their trip. And if they were to use the technology, what would they find most useful? So, you've got the whole thing of QR codes that would allow people to see better product information or augmented reality of that kind of thing. You've got the fact that we've got all this AI that should be able to incorporate lots and lots more data and give people much more personalized, hyper-personalized offers. And then you've got the ability to know where the customer is in the store and help them to find particular items. And what was interesting in this one, and I think we'll come to talk a bit about this a bit later on as well, is just how much customers actually are focused on finding items in the store. That's the biggest pain point that they seem to have, where they really feel like technology should be able to solve that problem for them.
Gareth, thank you. I know we're going to dive a bit deeper into some of those findings, but I guess first of all, Vicky, any thoughts? Do you, in your experience, do you think retailers are doing a good job of connecting with their customers and understanding what they want to see out of retail tech?
The data that we just showed, and I'm anxious to dig into each one of those, and I don't want to give it all away in my opening statement, but you're going to find as we talk through this that one of the most important things that I have found, especially in all the customer journey work that I've done, is how important, like, retailers are so customer centric. They care about the customer. They're trying to convert, obviously, but that information about not being able to find and what's most important to them and etc. really speaks to this overarching aspect of retailers and everyone inside retail that develops every position, that develops or waits on or manages or anything, needs to remember that they also are customers and to approach everything they look at by being the customer. So it's so funny that in the retail industry, and this is our job, so we think of it as our jobs versus as being a customer, which we are every day of the week, 24/7. We're also customers, and we have thoughts about how we interact with apps and what our best shopping experience is and what we like to do and see when we're in a store or online, or how easy is it, where can I do it, all of those things. And sometimes we forget that customer mindset, being the customer, when we're actually in our jobs. I find it a really interesting phenomenon. So we're going to find out that and this also goes to the point of not doing tech for tech's sake, which is something we've all been talking about for many years. Don't put a robot in when it makes no sense to put a robot in for your customer and your environment. So we're going to break down and talk about what tech makes sense for you. You're always looking for you, for your brand, for your market, for your customer.
Yeah, amazing. What a great setup to deep dive into is or wasted. So we asked about the top retail tech investments which retailers are making today. And yeah, pinpointed consumer opinion and consumer experience under these banners. And so we're going to take each of those and dive deep into the data and chat it through. So the first of all is apps. So obviously this has been at the top of many retailers' technology roadmaps for a while. And ultimately, is that investment paying off? What's your view on whether what retailers are doing right, not doing right, and where can we see this evolve over the next few years? And this is one of our data snapshots around app usage when in store. So Vicky, Donna take the mic first.
Sure. I found this very interesting and a little bit disheartening, but I don't think it has to be. I think it's explainable. When we say, do you ever use a retailer's app when in store? No and yes. And I would think that that's the same as my own experience. There's some that I use all the time. And the ones that I use all the time are for the reason that the police indicated, which is how to find things. So I would say that we're going to dig in a little bit to, why are they not using the apps when so much has happened? Is it simple enough? Retailers have so much to communicate, their loyalty, their product, their value, their brand. They have so much to communicate. And are they trying to put it all in one place? If we go back to being a customer, what is the easiest, cleanest, most convenient thing I can do with the app when I want to? So this is not standalone. This has to be married to what they found most important to them when using the app.
Yeah, fantastic. Gareth, you'd very much echo that, I think.
Yeah, I think when we talk to a lot of retailers that, maybe less on the specifically the app, but I think also this fits in the whole world of like kiosks in store or smart trolleys or endless aisles, that kind of trying to put technology in the store where people are using it while they're in the store. And it's not yet at a point where it's a natural part of the shopping trip. So I think you could spend a lot of time focused on how do you make an app better or how do you make an app more useful. And maybe that's the thing that ultimately will get more people using it. But there will come a point where it becomes, I guess, more a general part of the shopping trip, maybe when the kiosks are more, they're spread throughout the store rather than being in the corner of the store or over by the shopping, by the fitting room or something. How do you get to the point where it's a seamless ability to, and there is a reason for opening the app other than that thing of being forced to do it because otherwise you don't get the cheaper price or whatever it might be. So I think this is really, it was interesting how many people don't use technology when they're in the store, or at least don't use the technology that's owned by the retailer. And I think trying to capture more of that becomes more and more important as if you can offer valuable capabilities, as Vicky was saying, while somebody's in a store that they actually would take use of. So grocery lists or recipes or to have you remembered, or there's got to be a reason to open that app in the store. And I don't think at the moment there's enough reasons to get people to do it all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that retailers also have a great opportunity to not just look at the features that they put in there and how easy it is to use, but also, are they communicating? Well, of course they are communicating. Is their communication about the value landing with who? Okay, how do they indicate it in such a way that it makes it important? Well, you're going to try and find a way to enhance the convenience or the ease for the person who needs to use it.
Yeah, fantastic. Couldn't agree more. So I guess so on a wider, slightly, looking at behind the scenes, I guess a bit more before it hits the consumers, is really around sourcing, and what we focused really was around fulfillment, and that journey to get on the shelves. So substitutability, product range, could people find what they were looking for, etc. And obviously this has been a huge money pots in terms of tech investment. And this was the stat which Gareth obviously touched on earlier. But yeah, really opening that up for a deeper dive and look at. Gareth, maybe you'd like to sort of hit that off first.
Yeah, I mean, I think, why is this question so important to retailers? And I suppose especially to kind of those retailers where you buy lots of things when you're in the store. So probably grocery being the kind of prime example of that. What we're seeing with our grocery retailers is that actually customers are then tending to split their shop more and more. And one of the reasons why that might be is you can't find everything you need on one visit to one store. So you end up going somewhere else for one of those things. And that's almost, you know, the world in the moment, that's 13%. That's your best case scenario. Your best case scenario is that customers go somewhere else for one item. 13% of customers go somewhere else for one item, and then they come straight back. You know, that's best case. I think probably worst case is that 13% of customers go somewhere else to get that one item, and while they're there, they get some other items, and then maybe they like that shop, so maybe next time they go back there and they get more things, and you start to lose customers. So in terms of, you know, the impact of not having something, or customers not being able to find something in your store, or not being able to find a suitable alternative in your store, isn't just the impact of that one sale, of that one item. It's the long-term loyalty impact and about shopping being split across more and more places. So it's a really important thing to get right. And I think from a technology point of view, there's a whole bunch of things that you've got to get right. You've obviously got things like local range and making sure that you appeal to the people that come to your stores. So, you know, understanding what is important to those customers. You've got, how do you optimize your range so that you don't have so much choice that customers can't find the thing they're looking for or get overwhelmed? How do you work out which products can be substituted with other products? So which ones can you delist versus which ones you can't you? And then you get into things like fulfillment. So how do you make sure that all your ordering processes work properly? So you get the right items on the shelf. How do you have things like RFID tagging so that you can make sure that this stuff is actually on the shelf and not in the back room somewhere? So I think technology can play a role in all those things. But ultimately, when we ask the customer, what we're seeing at the moment is there's no real difference. The number of people that couldn't find everything 2 years ago is exactly the same number as the number of people that couldn't find everything today. So is it working or not? I guess we're finding it, especially when we talk to grocery retailers, there's other challenges that they're facing. You know, there's things like climate change. There are things that impact how they get products to store that retailers are talking about today that maybe they weren't 2 years ago. So maybe it's just that technology is helping, but other things are kind of hitting them the other way. But I think if you were looking for a report card of, have customers noticed a massive improvement from all the technology that's been invested in this place, I'd say probably not, or not yet, is the real finding that we've got from our analysis.
I would like to echo the not yet part, because this is really an area where, an area, it's very large, but this is really where AI and all of the different offerings within AI can absolutely just turbocharge this aspect. Look, we all know that the foundation of AI is data. That no AI is going to be successful without good data that's interconnected in some way, or normalized, or finding a way to clean and fix and have available your data. And that is the underpinnings to everything in AI, because when it comes to this type of stuff, then using that technology that, you know, you spoke about, Gareth, about the investments are happening, but being able to have that visibility once the data is right for where something is it local, is it far, can I get it there right away, so that you can provide as a retailer any conceivable choice that you have to provide to keep that customer and to satisfy their needs. This is such an interesting stat that it technically hasn't changed from what was very pandemic oriented and nothing was available to not changing much for here, but I do think we're on the cusp. I think we're on the cusp of really seeing huge improvements in this area, because the data is being foundationally fixed and cleaned to prepare for utilizing the new tech.
We'll make this one of our longitudinal questions, so we'll ask it across the course of the next year, Vicky, and invite you back to see.
Don't give up. Don't give up.
And so another key theme which we wanted to dive into was sustainability. And yeah, I think the discussions which we've had on this topic are really interesting, you know, especially with my background in psychology about what people might say and what they do. But you know, ultimately, I guess it's really diving into from your perspective, how much should retailers really focus on talking about sustainability, investing in technology, which can grow it from their side, and how much do consumers really care?
So this is an all of the above, and you mentioned the psychology, and this is one area that is critical to not discount how people feel and the intangible aspects. And what I mean by that is, in this case, there's just as many surveys that will tell you, especially in the area of sustainability, that what people say and what they actually do could be different. Because when they care. I'm not saying they don't care. Certainly everyone is very conscious with everything going on today of where we get our products and how they are sustainably sourced, etc. So of course it is an incredibly important topic. And yes, a consumer will say, yes, given the option, that's the case. But faced with, can I get it or can I not? Is it available or is it not? And I need it. That becomes so secondary that it doesn't matter. They're going to go ahead and do it. So yes, they care. You must do it. You must continue all your sustainability efforts. But my caution is to say, don't expect that your sustainability efforts will translate to a percentage of increased sales based on that one point.
Gareth,
I was just thinking, because we asked 2 questions recently for one of our retailers who sell alcohol, and their 2 questions were, would you like to see bottle recycling here? And then the next question was, what do you go somewhere that has bottle recycling? And then the next question was, did you recycle today? And something like 60 or 70% of customers said, yes, I'd love this store to offer recycling. No, I didn't recycle. Then only about 20% actually recycled that day. So they like the idea of it, but maybe they don't do it, to your point earlier.
Right.
I think the interesting thing for me about sustainability is there's a lot probably that retailers are doing around this, which maybe isn't directly so that they can get customers who care about it into their stores. They do it because I guess generally it's the right thing to do, but it's also often it's a cost saving. If you can be smarter in how you transport products to the stores such that you save on your energy bills or the way you run your stores, then that's a good thing in itself. If you can reduce waste through better ordering, that's a good thing in itself, and it saves you money. I guess what we're saying here is, what I take from this is, it's a feel-good factor for customers to be able to feel that they shop somewhere that cares about the environment. And so if you're doing it anyway, you may as well talk to customers about it, and you may as well brag about it, and you may as well share it, because there's really no downside to that. And maybe that just leaves the customers feeling better about what they just bought or who they just bought from, and maybe it will make them shop slightly more with you. I don't think it's going to turn the dial on massive revenue increases, as you say, but I think it could be a good thing to talk about if you're doing it already anyway.
I do think it will have a little bit more of an impact as the generations embrace it. As we know, this is one of those topics, as many, where different cohorts may behave differently. And this is obviously very important to the up and coming consumer. And so when I said it doesn't necessarily translate to the same percentage of increased sales, that could change.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make as well. Just how I don't think a blanket statement necessarily will. Yeah, it's diving into the type of consumer and the sector where different messages really resonate. So fantastic. Thank you both. And now AI. So obviously, you know, Vicky, you've been on the executive committee of the Retail AI Council, and just been on, you know, True Rating, been on the journey with many of our customers and adopting AI into our own tools, is hugely exciting. And there's so much buzz and hype around the possibilities. Yeah, it'd just be really interesting to get your guys' perspective on, you know, what you think is going to remain sticky. What are you seeing as the best uses? And yeah, how do you feel it's going to evolve? And I guess we discussed things like chatbots, for example, and that was a key consumer pain point really about whether chatbots were addressing their needs. So yeah, it'd be great to get your opinions on this. Like Gareth, do you wanna kick off and talk through these sort of data points first?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for all of this technology, one thing I'd say is that what customers actually want is to, you know, have a seamless shopping experience. They want to engage with people in stores, and they want to have as an efficient shopping experience as possible. So for me, really, any of this kind of, you know, if you're going to use AI or better technology or whatever else to make the shopping experience better, then it actually has to make it better. I think what's interesting about the point on the left, the one about the offers, is, you know, basically customers are saying 50% of customers are saying that they find offers relevant to them and 50% aren't. Well, that seems very close to the stat of, you know, half my promotional budget is wasted. I just don't know which half, which I don't remember who told me that, but that was when I was very, very young. So it doesn't feel like it's moved on massively. And I think part of the reason for that is there's all this additional data about customers. There's all this clever tech, which means that you can be hyper-personalized in understanding your customers. But if you've only got so many offers to offer them, and if your emphasis is on pushing the offers to as many customers as possible to make sure that somebody takes you up on it, rather than focusing on the customer and thinking, do I actually have an offer that's relevant to them? Then this is, I think, why this stat's stuck where it is, because actually we're not hyper-personalizing with the customer at the heart of the decision yet. We're still hyper-personalizing with, I've got these many offers and I'm going to send them to as many people as possible because my metric is total number of redemptions, not does the customer get something that they want. So I think there's a lot of hype around this, in that, yes, not saying that the technology is not clever or the data is not clever, but I think it's about, a lot of that is about how you use it. And if you still only have, whatever your limiting factor is, if your limiting factor is that actually I've only got 3 things I can offer, then really you can't be hyper-personalized. It doesn't matter how much AI you use or how much data about the customer you've got. So I think really you've got to think about this from the point of view of, are you really going to use all this technology to put the customer at the heart of what you're doing and make the decisions on their behalf? Or are you still trying to do, you know, so basically, are you being more product focused than customer focused? And then to the stat on the right, I think we talked about, but you know, you can invest a lot in better technology, as you say, to try and come up with offers or better product information or even cleaner and faster checkout. But this would just say that the first thing that customers are worried about is, I've just spent 20 minutes walking around the store trying to find that last item on my list. The fact that you've made checkout 20 seconds faster doesn't really impact me. So I think, yeah, focusing on the things that matter most to customers would be where I would say we should be starting.
So this was this was one of my favorite slides, and as it talks to AI, look at the Retail AI Council, our mission is education and learning and helping, figuring out how best to help. And in doing that, we know that no one's quite sure how to do what, when, okay, and where do I start, and those types of things. And so we're breaking it down into this aspect of the, you know, are you at the foundational aspects what do you have, and what's available to be able to really launch new things, and what's important. The next is to be able to really kind of build on that and grow, and then is to absolutely excel. And when we think about this, you spoke about chatbots, Georgina, and what's important in AI is this aspect of, again, be the customer, know how they're feeling, when they're feeling. As we're talking about back end stuff, oh my gosh, if the data's right, let's use all of the tools we can to make a better experience and find products and do all of those things that help save costs, give a better experience, all of that stuff. But the things that are important for a particular brand or for a particular consumer has to do with, don't leave the human aspect out of AI. One of my least favorite terms is chatbot, okay, because it immediately indicates that someone is not human, and I may or may not get my problem solved. That said, I am not discounting chatbots, because for those people that are looking for a quick, easy, convenient, I don't need to interact with somebody, it is absolute heaven. So the point is, what is appropriate at that moment? Convenience and balance is how I would say that retailers should look at what AI they are doing. Where I can provide convenience, that's going to trump absolutely everything. Where I need a human is and making that available is absolutely critical, especially in times of stress in those customer experience, customer service areas, etc. So my counsel is to don't take the human out of AI where it's important to do so. The reason I love this slide is finding items 52%. Okay, that would improve it the most. That means that they can't find something, they can't find a person to ask, or they can't find something. So any improvements we can do, that's a big percentage that I think would be really important.
Yeah, yeah. I want to take heed of your words, Vicky. I'm thinking the world would be a much better place if everyone played to that tune around AI. So fantastic. Well, I know we're over the half hour now, so I don't know whether we got time for a quick one or two questions. Let me stop sharing, and yeah, let's see any questions from the audience which we can quickly fleck to. So I guess yeah, this is very much just to your AI expertise, Vicky, really, like just on that journey of doing that assessment of what to start with, how do you really recognize the needs? The question is, how should I approach AI? How do I know what to start with so much out there? Have you got any ideas?
Hate to be a broken record, but I would say, first of all, there is more and more and more education coming as far as understanding it. We're also working on a kind of this is what it is, this is what's important. And as I said earlier, and what everyone is learning is there is no AI without good data. And so where you should start is make sure your house is in order. That's on the technology side. And that's a very blanket statement for a lot of different things. The second is, and this never changes, this doesn't change with the internet or any technology you choose or any other amazing thing that's happened to us from a technology standpoint. What has never changed is what is important to you as a brand, what is important to your customer as a brand, and that is making an assumption that you truly understand what your customer really wants from you. Don't adopt things that don't make sense for you. You have to put your bets on the things that will give you the best. And there's a lot of actual projects in place right now that are to satisfy the fact that we are doing AI. There's a lot of that going on right now, a ton of it. Okay, that's great. This is just a phase that we all have to go through. But as far as what's really going to move the needle and what's important to your customers, let's pay attention to what is important to your customers.
Yeah. And everyone can obviously not only join the Retail AI Council for their education and guidance, they can implement True Rating so they can ask their customers and yeah, really keep close to their evolving customer base. Final plug from the founder.
Well, honestly, Georgina, True Rating, that the thing that I love about that is I keep saying, find out what your customers want. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? The fact that you get such a hugely high percentage of somebody telling you that versus the occasional bad review or good review that you're lucky enough to get, the fact that you get that all the time in every transaction and marry it with that data to know how it did impact and it wasn't their momentary feeling is so valuable. So I agree. I think it's amazing.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Well, yeah, I'm going to end it on that high. And it's been phenomenal having you both. Yeah, and I've so enjoyed the discussion. To all of you listening, we will be following up with the Retail Tech Report so you can see all the data in all its glory. And also, please join us. We'll be coming up for that self-checkout webinar where we've been looking at the trends across the last year. So that's going to be coming up in July. So stay tuned. Vicky, it's been an absolute pleasure. And
Same
Gareth,
here. Thank you, Gareth. I love your insights.
thanks so
Good
much.
talk.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.